My name is Akiva Schaffer, and I co-wrote and directed The Naked Gun, the new one. So I got the call saying, how would you like to be involved with a new Naked Gun, which immediately I thought, no, I don't at all, because the first Naked Gun is a perfect movie. Then they said, how would you like to do a new Naked Gun with Liam Neeson? And that kind of opened my mind to the possibilities of how it could be a new thing, how it could exist alongside the old Naked Gun and honor the old Naked Gun and take the spirit of the old Naked Gun, but maybe be a new movie. And so I tried to take kind of the spirit of their style of comedy and their style of jokes, and specifically that they would cast dramatic actors and place them into a genre and be really true to the genre. All the things that kind of were the hallmarks of what they did, I try to keep that intact while acknowledging that 35 years of action movies and police procedurals have happened since they made the old ones, and that Liam Neeson is not Leslie Nielsen. He is his own individual actor person. He does have a specific set of traits and talents that are not a particular set of skills that are just as exciting. Well, Liam, I think, understood the assignment, and that's why he was excited to do it. And that's why I'm sure why Seth, a couple years before I came on, in one of his conversations with Liam was like, oh my God. And he realized like, you'd be perfect to do it. Liam's one of the few remaining true, like old school movie star leading men with gravitas. And there was nobody underneath him in the list. There was no second choice to even be had, because there's kind of nobody like him out there. How would I describe Liam and Pam's chemistry? Electric. Hot. Steamy. They just jumped into the deep end. I can't say that because there weren't rehearsals and things like that. So it was really just as soon as they started doing their sexy, kind of double indemnity style dialogue to each other, that it was like, oh, yeah, it's all there. Me and Dan and Doug have been thinking about like, oh, are we going to try a montage? There's a famous montage from the first Naked Gun that is very enjoyable. And in this one, we were like, man, how do we do a montage that feels completely different from that? And there's been so many montages in so many movies doing kind of 80s love montages. So it's very well-worn territory. And I was trying to think of a fresh approach. And for whatever reason, at 4 a.m, I woke up and I was laying in bed and I went, and it came to me, and I literally just wrote beat for beat the bullet points into my phone's notes app. And it's almost identical to what is in the movie. It barely got changed from a notes bullet point to final thing. It was just fun to get somebody who's so the opposite of Liam. So Paul showed up, and the two of them together, just even visually, look like such a nice old school comedy pairing of how different they are. Liam's a very tall guy. I don't want to say Paul's short, but we all look short next to Liam. And so it was just nice to get a little bit of yin and yang there, a little bit of a mixture that felt really nice together. Liza brought a youthful energy to the film. She did great because she is such a goofy person in real life, but she knew the assignment as well. I actually didn't know Liza's work before I watched her audition, which is a testament to how good she did, because I just saw it and she was playing it really straight and really normal and very much like a police officer and not trying to be funny. And so we hired her, and then I met her in real life, and she was the biggest ham I've maybe ever met, just a goofball. So kudos to her that she was able to fully turn that off to do what this movie needs. I think the first Naked Gun movie is a perfect movie. But what we can do is a little different and kind of honor the spirit of it and try some new stuff. And I think if you come in with an open mind, you'll enjoy this one and hopefully enjoy it a lot.
Hey, what up? I'm Paul Walter Hauser, and I play Ed Hawken Jr., I suppose, in this beautiful reboot of the Naked Gun series. Ed is the kind of guy who really takes his job seriously, and at the same time, he is forced with sort of dealing with the fumbles and the stumbles of his partner, his senior partner, that being Liam Neeson in the role of Frank Drebin Jr. Frank Jr. and Ed Jr. really love each other. They are like brothers or uncle and nephew, mentor, mentee. And in this story, they get tangled up in yet another mess, not unlike what their fathers had to combat in the original films. And I like to think that that friendship is tested and stretched, and in the end, you see that these two guys, no matter what the case is, no matter what turns it's taking, they're always going to have each other's backs. I like to think that Ed respects Frank so much that he's never trying to make him feel lowly or bad for screwing something up or misinterpreting something. He loves him too much to really reveal that. Liam Neeson's the best, dude. I've been a fan of his for years, but seeing him in this role, you know, he really owns the comedy and commits. And off camera, he's very funny and self-deprecating and is willing to just jump into the spirit of improvisation, which is what you need in a movie like this. But playing off him was a blast, and it was very much me trying to sometimes be the straight man to him, which I'm kind of used to in other movies or TV, being the really wild person. So it was nice to take a back seat and let him kind of be the butt of the joke while I'm kind of the audience POV sometimes. When you go back to the original, you know, Police Squad or Naked Gun, even the Leslie Nielsen film Airplane, people then associate Leslie Nielsen as having been a comedic actor, but he started off in drama. And it was that sort of straight-laced, dramatic delivery that made him so perfect for those original films and the ones that came after. So we really, I think, had that same style in mind and thought, you know, who better than Liam Neeson, who we've all come to fear and respect as these authority figures and mercenaries on screen. But he also has a fatherly, endearing quality to him. So I really think Liam ended up being the perfect person to take over the threads and absurdities of Frank Drebin. Liza was amazing. I wasn't familiar with her work, and she came in and was just an absolute like spark plug. She was just constant energy and good vibes. And then I found out she has like 100 million followers on Instagram or something, and she's a very accomplished creative, very much a DIY spirit, and she brought a really good energy to the set. And I remember when she was leaving, we didn't want her to because she was so much fun. I'm just like super stoked to watch this with an audience, like a packed theater somewhere, because I think waiting on those reactions and being like, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? And then getting the laugh, it's very satisfying. I come from a stand-up comedy background, so the idea of sitting in the back of a theater and kind of winding up and knowing where the jokes are and seeing how they play, I mean, that's going to be so much fun. I think this is Akiva's fourth feature, if I'm not mistaken. So what he brings to the table is equal parts loosey-goosey, let's try, let's have fun, let's play with this. Also showing up and just knowing what you want and what you need. So there's a finiteness to him that's really professional, but then there's also the fun malleability that we've come to expect in the wacky comedy he's helped co-create. And that's all you can ask from a comedy director. They bring professionalism and they've done their homework and they're ready to go, but they can also be moved by the sort of spirit of comedy in the moment and be willing to kill their creative darlings and just try something totally new. We all know this crime genre where cops are taking themselves seriously and crying in the rain and firing their gun in the air at a gravesite. Like, there's that sort of melodramatic steroidal intensity that we're obviously doing a send-up of and having fun with. And, you know, I think we're due for one of these movies. Naked Gun is something we need right now. We need to laugh. We need to laugh at something that's trying to take itself too seriously and is being overly intense. And we need more Liam Neeson. That's just my take on the matter. I think there are certain genres that beg to be seen in a packed theater opening weekend. Horror films are great in person with a full theater, and comedies are amazing. There is something chemically necessary that happens to your body and your brain when you sit in a room full of strangers and have a laugh. It happens at stand-up shows, and it happens when you're in a movie theater watching a Naked Gun movie. So I really hope people treat themselves and just unplug from the crazy world and come into our crazy world of Frank Drebin for just 2 hours. I think you're really going to be pleased with the outcome.
I started with Seth. He and Liam had been talking about this movie and the idea of a remake for years, since they worked together on Ted 2. And it was sort of one of those ideas that as soon as you hear it, you're like, oh my God, he's definitely the right guy for this, meaning Liam Neeson. And I think that finding the right guy to play a version of a classic movie is the most important thing before you move forward. And I think for all these years between the original movie and now, it was about trying to find that person that could do it right. I was a big fan of The Naked Gun early on, and the idea of seeing a silly, funny movie, I think always appealed to me. Even, as I went into my 20s, I've always loved comedy. I am not a comedic genius like the two people that have helped me make this movie, Seth and Akiva, so I feel lucky to be sort of surrounded by them. When we talked to the studio about trying to find the right director, Akiva was our first choice. And we went to him, and by the time we were out of our first meeting, I knew he was the right guy. He was excited too, and you could feel the excitement in the room. And that excitement has connected everybody to this movie from the beginning. From, Dan and Doug, our writers, who worked with Akiva before, but on this one it was definitely a challenge. There were so many jokes and so many iterations of every scene, up through the writing period, up through production, into production. It was a constant barrage of funny. And I think that's what I hoped for, and that's what we got in Akiva. I think what we knew about Liam going into this was that he had baggage from his previous movies as the sort of tough, complicated good guy. He was this sophisticated, classy, emotionally complicated, gravelly voiced icon. So the idea of him playing Frank Drebin Jr., this goofy, insane part in this goofy, insane movie called The Naked Gun was a thrill. He was, I think, super excited about it as long as he continued to play it straight and that everything he said felt like it was coming from the guy that we all loved and knew from his previous work. It was going to be hilarious. And that's how we played it, and that's how he played it. And so it was like seeing Liam Neeson in one of those movies, and everything that's coming out of his mouth is wrong. And it just makes you laugh. Pamela was one of those, dark horse ideas that came into our conversation early on with Carmen Cuba, who was our casting director, and she was all in on her. I think that we found her at the perfect moment for our movie, and that she was willing to do something like this at the time in her life that she was sort of open to anything was kind of kismet for all of us. When Liam and Pam first met, you just saw it. They're these two beautiful, iconic, statuesque actors, and seeing them stand side by side for our first camera test were just beautiful and amazing. For Liam and Pam, I think that there was a generational connection that they had. They just immediately liked each other. They were comfortable with each other. I think for Pam, it was such a thrill to be doing this part and to be part of this production that, her enthusiasm about being in the movie, I think also helped just the chemistry and the back and forth between her and Liam. Paul and Liam together just looking at the two of them makes me laugh. And I think that it was a great casting choice for the movie. He played his reliable, always there, unflappable partner to Liam Neeson's character, the Frank Drebin character. And so it was kind of a perfect odd couple, and it really worked. I'm a big proponent of seeing movies in theaters. I think that the shared experience of being with a bunch of people in a room and something makes everybody laugh is very rare. The first time we screened this movie, watching the audience watch the movie was such a joy. I mean, it was so amazing to see people laughing, and obviously so happy for us that our jokes were actually funny and that they were landing for people. And I think we all got into this business as filmmakers to bring some kind of emotional response, whether it's laughter or anxiety or crying or some kind of emotional dramatic response. And laughter is truly the most amazing thing to watch. And when it works, when everybody in the audience is guffawing and you're elbowing your partner next to you, there's nothing like it.
Hi there, my name is Kevin Durand, and I play Stig Gustafsson in The Naked Gun. I got involved just because I got sent the script, and I think they were checking to see if I would be interested in playing the character. But funny enough, I was on a party bus with my friend Matt Bettinelli Olpain. He was asking me, what do you got coming up now? And the party bus, we were going theater to theater, sneaking in to see Abigail, the film that we had done together. And I said, well, I got this offer for this film, this comedy. I never get to do comedies. And he was like, oh, what is it? And I told him it was The Naked Gun. And he said, yeah, my best friend since I was 3 is directing that. And so he went off about Akiva, and I felt like I knew Akiva by the time we finished that evening. So he had been texting back and forth with Akiva, and they were asking me, Akiva was asking me questions through Matt. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a lot of fun. I was a gigantic fan of the Leslie Nielsen films, as probably most everyone was. The idea of Liam Neeson coming in and playing his son, playing Frank Drebin Jr., just seemed like the most perfect thing I had heard of. The comedy is, I didn't know how I was going to play the comedy because I'm pretty rubber-faced and animated, and I've had to hold back on a lot of that because you're playing the seriousness of the moment, and you let the actual situation be the funny part. So it took a little bit of training by Akiva. Stig Gustafsson is basically the henchman for Mr. Kane. He's kind of his go-to man. I run security for everything that has to do with the planet Kane. He's an efficient henchman. At least he tries to be. Liam Neeson, honestly, is one of my great heroes. So in the acting world. So I had been watching him and going out of my way to find his films, and always noticing this very tall, incredibly compelling actor. And I was like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be like him, because I was another tall actor trying to figure out, well, do tall actors get work in film? I really didn't know. I thought that maybe I would only be able to play creatures and whatnot. When I went to set, they said, do you want to meet Liam? He's right around the corner doing fight rehearsal. And I became a little boy And I got really scared and shy. And they were like, no, he'll want to meet you. And I was like, I don't want to bother him. And then I poked my head around the corner, and he saw me right away. And he was like, Kevin Durand. And and he came and shook my hand and told me that he was excited that I was there and that he loved my work. And it's so funny because, they say don't meet your heroes, but Liam Neeson is even better than I could have imagined him to be. And so fun to work with, and compassionate, generous, very committed, fun guy. Pamela Anderson as Beth is pretty genius casting. I haven't gotten to spend a lot of time with her, but immediately what you get from Pamela is just she has this extreme sincerity and this sweetness and innocence, and she's very, very funny. And I think people are going to be really, really happy with and blown away by what she's doing. The other day she was doing this one scene, and we were all just standing in pee puddles because she was so funny and so committed, and yeah, it's really terrific. My special training for this was bleaching my hair. It was a rigorous, intense training session where my scalp was on fire, but I was doing it for this character so that I could get into the sand space. And here I am, blonde and beautiful. Dude, you could turn my hair purple. You could shave it. You could put a wig down to my waist. I'm always about trying to look different and be someone else. So I was all about it. Well, I mean, Seth he's cutting edge comedy, and always kind of tongue in cheek and higher thinking, smart comedy. So he's perfect for this world. I've got my night vision binoculars out from a building across the way, trying to see what Frank Drebin's up to. And there he is with Pamela, and they're kind of on this date of sorts, and the situations that arise, all of the innuendo, once the drapes are closed, and just seeing these silhouettes, and then seeing through the walls and not having any sense of dimension. The images that came out of it were so ridiculous, and to think that I'd get to play the reactions to that was kind of hilarious. This kind of comedy is deeply needed right now in the world. We really need to laugh right now. We all do. I sure do. We all want to laugh so bad. I'm always scouring, trying to find something to make me laugh. Well, here you are.
Hi, I'm Liza Koshy, and I play Detective Barnes in The Naked Gun. I was very excited to find out that The Naked Gun, an adored franchise, was in the best hands humanly possible, Akiva's. I was stoked to work with him. He was an incredible director, and also love the Leslie Nielsen to Liam Neeson baton pass, not just because their names rhyme, but because they're both beyond capable of this character. He has a very particular set of skills, that one. It's an incredible franchise. I mean, Leslie Nielsen is a comedy legend who characters that I studied him, so it came from the source himself. There's guns, there's puns, there's double entendres, there's double the fun, there's giggles, as Liam says.
Yeah, a lot of giggles.
Leslie Nielsen set the tone for that time, and we're bringing it back because who doesn't love a good dose of nostalgia? I've watched him for years, so to work with him as a director was a totally different capacity, myself as the performer, right? He gave some really great direction that I didn't anticipate being so clear and so wonderful, because he as a performer understands what a performer needs to hear in order to perform. But he told me, hey, you are acting as though this is a comedy. And I said, you're welcome. But then he said, no, I need you to play it as a drama. The comedy's going on behind you in the background, but I need you to give still, stoic, subtle drama. So I did, and that was just clear and concise. We haven't seen Liam Neeson do much comedy, but what we do know is that he has a particular set of skills that he's developed over a long career. He was absolutely heaven-sent little angel. I adore Liam. He's the cutest, sweetest man on the planet, and when you're that dramatic and that terrifying of a stature, you have to be a really nice person, and he is. Paul Walter Hauser is a masterclass of a human being. How to be a good dad, how to be a good friend, how to be an avid reader on set. He is an adorable specimen that I got to learn and absorb so much from. His stillness, his choices, his specificity is so incredibly yummy to watch. I can't wait for you to watch it too. The Naked Gun is about the son of Frank Drebin, who's thrust into a murder mystery about Pam's dead brother and a billionaire tech giant. You deserve to go see The Naked Gun in theaters where it was destined to be enjoyed. You deserve to enjoy it at max capacity, laughing as loud as you possibly can with community. I mean, we all know laughter is medicine, so go, heal yourselves, and watch The Naked Gun.
I was a huge fan of the Zucker brothers growing up. I loved Airplane, I loved The Naked Gun, I loved Police Squad. The first time I saw Naked Gun, I had already seen Airplane, was already a huge fan, and I tracked down the 6 episodes of Police Squad and found that they were just as funny as the movie. And so that variety of humor, the Zucker brothers, Mel Brooks, became just kind of a staple of my childhood, and I kind of sought it out wherever I could. And it informed a lot of the comedy that I produced later on in my career. My part of this was really just having the thought a while back that Liam Neeson would be really funny in a Naked Gun reboot. And that was kind of, that's really the extent of my contribution to this iteration. And Akiva Schaffer and his team came along, and as far as this iteration and how it came about and how, we were able to find our way in, that's 100% of the credit goes to him. He really had a sense of how to write for Liam. He really was really good about playing by his own rules that he had established. The world does have to have some sort of grounding at its core. And Akiva was really good about being really, really true to the world that he had created. And you don't see a lot of inconsistencies in his script. It does feel like there's a discipline that harkens back to what the Zucker brothers did. Liam is game for a lot. If he trusts you, he'll try anything. And the first time I spoke to him, he said, "Listen, I'm not a comedian. This is not what I do. I'm not a comic. So if we go into it with that understanding, that the lines that I'm doing will be dramatic lines that are funny because of the way I'm delivering them, and that's how it's got to work." And luckily, that's the essence of what these kinds of movies are. So it was perfect. It's like, yeah, this is exactly what we want you to do. So he's a really smart guy who understands his own talents and his own abilities, and that's why the idea of Liam doing this was so exciting, because I thought, this is the one guy who might be able to pull this off. And he did. For these kinds of movies, it really is, it's just about casting the person who's already there, the person who just doesn't really need a whole lot of instruction as far as how to be that character. They kind of come in already in the. I mean, Liam Neeson is, you're going to get Liam Neeson, and that's the key. And I think it's the same thing with Pam. It's like it's what you want for that character is Pam Anderson, so why not get Pam Anderson? What she's giving you is sincere and completely real, and she's not trying to play the comedy, but at the same time, there's just enough of that kind of natural Marilyn Monroe-ishness that she brings to the table. All storytelling is communal. I mean, it goes all the way back to Greek theater, where it's like the theater is it's a communal experience, and it's more fun with people. And I think particularly with comedy. With comedy, it's watching a comedy by yourself is not as much fun as watching it with other people, particularly if it's something with a lot of hard laughs. It's just more fun to watch it with a group. And certainly this movie and this kind of comedy lends itself to, to an audience. It's just more fun to have that communal experience of sharing a laugh. People are always kind of ready to laugh. And there aren't a lot of comedies out there that, even on television, that are out to make you laugh. There's a lot of television comedies that are out to win awards and to be, thoughtful and to be important with a capital I. And not a whole lot that are like, we're a comedy. That's our job, above all else. And if something gets in the way of that, then we're not necessarily a comedy. We're something else. And there are very few of those types of movies and TV shows now. And I think people are kind of starved for it. And I think they're starved for something like The Naked Gun. I think they're starved for that kind of movie. It's been a while.
My name is Sam Hoffman. I am an executive over at Fuzzy Door, which is Seth MacFarlane's production company. And I've been with the movie for about 4 years now, and it's changed a lot over this time, but it's been an incredible experience, working with Akiva and Dan and Doug and Liam and Pamela and Erica and Seth to bring this story to life. I was definitely a fan growing up of the Naked Gun movies. I watched them mostly on VHS with my parents and with my sisters. I was born a year before the last Naked Gun film came out. So for me, the fandom was very much multi-generational. My parents were really into it, and so I got really into it. And, the spoof genre was so strong for so many years, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the team that's bringing them back. I really love all of the set pieces that Akiva, Dan, and Doug came up with. They created this movie that takes what we know and love from the action and thriller genres and turned them on its head, turned all of them on their heads. The sequence that I really liked the best was in the Bengal Club, in the jazz sequence, when Pamela's character Beth gets up on stage to distract the bad guy so Liam's character, Frank Drebin Jr., could sneak into the back room and get some security footage. And when Pamela gets on stage, she is magnetic. She is incredible as she scats this wacky, zany jazz sequence. And she did it over and over again on set for an entire room filled with people watching her. And she did such an incredible job. It's funny, it's fresh, and it feels like, a jazz club that we would all go to. When we approached our version of Naked Gun, we looked at doing the same thing in terms of spoofing a genre that is familiar to people, that they feel nostalgic for, that they want to have again, and turning it on its head. And especially with incredible performances from Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, we're able to take people into this world that they recognize and change it completely. And I think that's what makes a really great spoof. It's being unexpected. It's leaning into what people are known for and doing something that's completely out of left field in a way that makes people shocked, surprised, and ultimately laugh. The entire crew bought into Akiva's vision for spoofing these movies from the 90s. And so our entire goal was to capture that noir tone, that action thriller feeling, and every single department fell in line with that vision. Brandon Trost, as he approached that vision, did so with incredible tact. He was able to make this atmospheric, noir, cool visual tone to what could have been a very easy comedy. We made very specific choices, and specifically Brandon made choices that highlighted exactly how we were approaching this film from the get-go. The reason why we don't see these movies very often is that they're really, really hard to make. It takes very specific talented people to bring this all together. It takes a star like Liam Neeson, who everyone knows as this dramatic action movie star, who can deliver something so surprising like Frank Drebin Jr. It takes a moment like the one that Pamela Anderson's in now, where she is delivering a side of herself to the public that no one ever saw before. This side of herself that is nuanced and smart. And I think that now is the time when all of these puzzle pieces fit together to make this great film. Now is the perfect time for a Naked Gun film because we all want to laugh. There is something so incredible about being in a theater surrounded by strangers or people you know and just laughing, having a great time. And if there's one thing that this film delivers on, it's being funny. Dan, Doug, and Akiva wrote one of the most joke-packed, hilarious scripts that I've ever read, and they delivered on executing the incredible artistry that makes you believe in it, that makes you feel like you are part of this world. And I think being in a movie theater, watching that with your friends, your family, is an experience that is not often given these days.
I'm Pamela Anderson, and I play Beth in the new Naked Gun. How did I become involved in this project? Well, I had to audition. I had an audition with Akiva Schaffer, who shared my audition tape with Liam, and I was lucky that they offered me the role. Well, I've just kind of restarted my career, so I did Broadway, and then I did The Last Showgirl, and I thought it would be a nice juxtaposition to do a high comedy after doing a drama, and so that was exciting to play with. And plus, I really respond to comedy, and in this case, I mean, the fact that they even thought of me for this was so exciting, and so I'm glad I did it. I love the Naked Guns. I thought that they were really funny, and they're just such crazy, silly comedies, and I think, you know, the world needs that right now. I think everyone needs a good giggle, and this movie definitely has some of those in them. Liam's fantastic. I mean, everyone, I think, is going to fall in love. I think it definitely honors the old, and having Akiva direct, I mean, it is comedy. I know people say comedy is hard, but comedy is timing. It's, there's so much that goes into it that, you know, I mean, it's definitely the inspiration comes from the original Naked Gun, but he definitely put his own twist on it. There's definitely some Akiva moments in it that are like no other. I work a lot on the character before I even get to the set. I like to bring a lot with me and then just be flexible enough to work with the director on the character. And I feel if it's a drama or a high comedy, you still put the work in. So we talked a lot about her backstory and then just the storyline. And he's very, like I said, again, scientific with the jokes, but I also really wanted to bring honesty and authenticity to the character and vulnerability. So it was a collaboration, but I see some very sincere and tender moments, which I don't think you'd really expect in a film like this, so I was really proud to see that. I'm familiar with Liam's career. He's had such an incredible career, starting in theater and just kind of being part of this acting royalty, you know, from Schindler's List and all the other films he's done. So it was intimidating. I was afraid to meet him. I was literally shaking the first day I came to rehearse our first scene. But once we got going, I mean, he's such a gentleman, he's such a sweetheart, and he's so giving and generous, and was so complimentary and supportive that, you know, you can't help but fall in love with Liam. I think the montage is some of my favorite. I really loved all the snowman scenes. It was really cute. But it was all fun. I mean, it was all exciting and fun, and yeah, I mean, I love the connection. And like I said, it's very interesting to work with such an incredible actor because I'm just soaking it in like a sponge. I feel like I'm new at this, so I really, pay attention and watch and observe him, and on and off camera, how he conducts himself is really incredible to witness and to learn from. I mean, it's just, one laugh after another. I think it's really funny. I think that people are going to love all different parts of it. There's definitely an audience for this. It's a genre, but silly, busting out laughing. It's really wild. And people are hopefully they're gonna love it. I'm a big supporter of going to the theater. I love going to the theater, and any movie is seen best on a big screen. And with all the stunts and the craziness, everything going on, and there's a lot of stuff, there's layers. Like if you see it once, if you see it the next time, you might see something different. There's a lot of references and funny things in the background, and so I think it's much better on a big screen. And it's definitely one of those movies you need to have, like, candy and popcorn and friends, and you'll get a kick out of it. Much better in a theater.
Hello, I'm Liam Neeson. I play Detective Frank Drebin in the film Naked Gun. Frank Drebin, he's a very committed police inspector, but he's bumbling. He's not stupid, but he has a naivete to him. Finds himself in situations and kind of does the wrong thing, but with the right attitude. And it lands him in lots of precarious situations that he has to, hopefully in a funny way, find a way out of, Why did I want to be part of this comedy? Well, Seth MacFarlane, who's an old pal, called me up a couple of years ago and dangled the idea of me doing this reboot of this character. And I said I was interested. It was as simple as that. Akiva was terrific to work with. He's from the world of Saturday Night Live, and which is a very funny show. He's very smart. He's a comedy nerd, I would say. I mean that in the best possible way. Very good writer. And this genre is kind of new for me, certainly feature film, comedy genre. So I relied on him a lot. He was terrific to work with. Our film has, I would say, the same tone as the originals. Hopefully a lot of giggles for the audience. Some funny stuff, situations that the characters find themselves in. Yeah, a lot of giggles. Do I think this honors the originals? Yes, I think it does. It certainly does not insult them. And it is called Naked Gun. Pamela Anderson plays the femme fatale, I guess, is the best way to describe her character, who's very beautiful, sexy, and funny. And Pamela is all that and more. Any scene with Pamela Anderson was terrific, and I always looked forward to it and to working with her. I think we got on well. She's certainly become a new pal, Pamela. She's terrific to work with. No big ego, no airs and graces. And we had a few laughs on set. Yeah, Beth and myself, we try and solve the big crime in the film together. Not always. We're butting heads occasionally, but that's part of the fun. Paul Walter Hauser plays my sidekick, Ed, in the film. I hadn't met Paul before. I'd seen him in a couple of films. He's very, very good, very, very talented, and hilariously funny. I think it's important we as human beings, as groups, sit together and see entertainment, i.e. movies, cinema, in theaters. It's a thrilling experience. It is, especially when it's a comedy, to sit together with a bunch of strangers and laugh at the same stuff, giggle at the same stuff. I think it's very important for our souls. What will fans like about this film? I hope they will love it. As I say, give audiences a few giggles, maybe a couple of belly laughs.